My boyfriend is married but separated. I've told him if he isn't divorced by the end of the year, we're going our separate ways. So far, there's been no change. What should I do?
Grow up.
I mean, this is a very short problem.
Oh, yeah, my girl, she's still married, but they're separated. They've been separated for a while.
Wait,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, is that
You
a bad
didn't know
thing?
that at
'Cause
all.
I'm not trying to like.
No, I
whatever.
mean it isn't. It
Like,
isn't like a
legally?
super.
Yeah, but it's not.
Was she married here or in because her family, or is she from another country?
What you mean
Country
married
or
here?
state?
She married in the United States of America.
No, I didn't know because I
Yeah,
know
no,
that
she's
you
from
said
another
her parents
state.
live
Not
here.
country.
From somewhere else,
Yeah,
right?
no. I don't think it's like a bad thing. I'm sorry if it's a stigma. I'm gonna get in trouble anyway. So, but I don't see the difference if you love somebody. Everybody's got a situation. You know, people had situations before you. People got kids before you. People had exes before you, and how you decide to end that or not end it is really up to you. It doesn't affect me any. You know?
So she's still currently married.
Yes, but separated.
Yeah. So does she want, I know how you feel about marriage, so it's more so a personal question. If she said that she wants to actually get legally married to you, is that something that you're open-minded on doing?
I literally asked her last week. I was like, I heard you get tax benefits if you're married. And then she was explaining it. But,
You know why I'm laughing.
well, I said, I said,
What the fuck?
I said, I heard you get tax benefits. And then she was explaining to me. I was like, all right, that's cool. And I was like, but no, it's not like it's not like she's not trying to get a divorce or anything. She's been trying. It's just, it's on him. You gotta.
Oh, wait, that's how that works?
You don't have to sign a paper. People could not like answer you or like not follow up with the paperwork or like not just stall the shit forever.
And it'll delay the whole.
Is there any
divorce.
way, is there like a threshold where it's like, all right, it's been 2 years of, avoiding? Yeah.
I heard there was, but I don't know. You know, she's been actively trying. It's not on her. I don't fault her for anything. I don't judge her for anything. I mean, it's really not on her. She's been wanting to get this shit done. I feel like that's a weight on her shoulders. Actually, I know it's a weight on her shoulders that she wish wasn't there. And not because of me or I put any pressure on her. That's just for her own closure and her own, sense of moving on and her own business.
But
to me, I don't care.
For you, would you feel any way if she wasn't actively trying to get this divorce and was just letting the separation just sit while she, dates you or whatever? Would you feel like you needed to know from her? Do you ever plan to do this? Is this the way it's going to be?
If I was planning on marrying her,
Marrying
then
her?
yeah. But it was never. When I hear people getting divorced, I just assume that they're pretty much scorned and don't really want to get married again. So we've had that conversation, and it wasn't like a big pressure or a big push. So I was like, all right, well, you take care of yourself. She tell me what goes on, and I'm gonna get in trouble because I should have been listening. She told me. And that's when I was like, yo, what's up with the tax benefits, really? But I would like more money. That's all I care about. So, I mean, if that's going to help us, then sure. But she's, I don't, it's just so messy. It's mad messy. It's like, you got to give you half of this and then split this. And then, listen, I'm going to leave with what I came with. I know that. I don't even want to be married, though. Unless you tell me more about the tax benefits. I don't personally know I'm just going to sound bad. I know. I don't know the benefits for men outside of the things that we say on here about how we live longer if we're married. Other than that, I don't know nothing beneficial. Or when I get old, is she going to take care of me or have somebody take care? Outside of that, talk to me about what I care about.
Because, you know what I think what could be and what does happen, but I don't know if it fully has happened in terms of what I'm about to say. But there's some people who marry others, and they marry others for what they can get after they pass. And when the unfortunate event happens where there's a decision to pull the plug, instead of maybe letting them fight they might just say, pull it and cash out early. You know, I mean, I think about it from a perspective where my grandfather had COVID and he was at 90% on the ventilator, and they were like, we're done. Like, we're pulling the cord. And my grandmother, who's also his wife, was like, no, I refuse. Let him, if he's gonna die, let him die the way he's gonna die. And he was in a coma for a very long time, and he had numerous surgeries, but he survived and he's well. He's walking. He's living day-to-day life. Now, if there was incentive, and mind you, my grandmother and him have had a rocky marriage probably like the last 10 years. If there was somebody who was probably like, yo, forget it, I'll just cash out. Like, when he dies, it's a lot of money coming in. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Or she could have just been sick of his shit and been like,
but that's my point.
Cut it
And you
off.
see, that's why, that's the point that I'm making, where it's like, you could be sick of somebody's shit. Let's say this guy was a terrible husband to you, but he was actually a good guy to the community, but he was a terrible husband, which happens. And that opportunity comes, like, I don't get rid of this nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and don't let him have something to hand over. So that's the scary part when we talk about the whole marriage and being able to make a decision for, the spouse in event it is life or death.
right. But like, I think that goes back to what Alan said. Like, why are you marrying someone that you can't trust and rely on to make these types of decisions? Like, because outside of your spouse, it would otherwise be your parents, if they're still alive. And obviously you would hope your parents would act in your best interest. But w- wouldn't you want to be married to someone who would act accordingly, like to your parents?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But if I look at like my grandfather and my grandmother, they've been married all my life. They've had a last, I would say, 12 to 15 years where it started to get rocky, and the last 10 years where they were living in separate rooms. So for 2 decades, they were fine, right? Or, from the outside looking in.
I was gonna say it's probably been rocky the whole time.
I mean, speculation, but they were good. Like, I remember at like 12 years old, 13 years old, witnessing them kiss. And I'm like, God damn, this is fucking gross. You know what I'm saying? So I know that there was love and affection there. Obviously, I don't know all of their business. But it didn't get, it wasn't to the surface until I was probably, I would say, like 20, around maybe 21-ish. And to a point where it's like, I can't stand you. I can't stand you. So, 20 years of at least being able to coexist and figure things out. And then the last 10 years, y'all not even, y'all walk past each other in the house.
Question.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're about to say. Go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
Okay, people who are married have issues all the time, right? And you said what were they married maybe like 30, 40 years?
I would say like around, mid, like 35 years.
Okay, let's just say they've been married 35 years. Regardless of what they were beefing over for the last, I don't know, 10, 12 years, you said, do you think that if something happened to one of them, that the other would act in their best interest? Beef and all.
Now,
No. Like,
I'm answering the question. Now, only because of what actually transpired, I would say yes. Prior to, I would tell you no.
like prior to
Prior to
he was sick, like with COVID and stuff?
prior to the actual opportunity to say, I don't even want to call it an opportunity, but the decision to say, pull the cord. I would tell you, if that happens, it's done. Like, neither one of them would care, right? And that's because that's where it got to. Now, and I've seen it happen. I actually seen it happen also outside of my own personal life, but it, to a point where eventually after so long, they ended up finally getting a divorce. But we all go into relationships and then ultimately getting married on a high with understanding of who we are at that moment without knowing what each other will potentially do in the future, whether it be the near future or far future. And sometimes you might do something that might change the way that person looks at you, feels about you, and thinks of you for the remainder of your relationship or marriage with them.
Fair.
And we can't predict the future. So to make a decision 40 years down the line, and let's just say that I've been a terrible husband or she's been a terrible wife, either or. And now I have the opportunity. I don't care as much sometimes, depending on how cold that person is. I could not care as much to say, all right, well, I don't want her to suffer anymore. I don't want him to suffer anymore. And like I said, don't let it be a payday afterwards. It makes the decision easier. Depending on the relationship.
Well, I think the person too, because some people, that just sounds like a real scumbag thing to do, based off of like the incentive of me getting money because of your death. No judgment, but I'm saying, like, if you've really been through thick and thin, and I thought it was for better or for worse, then are you really gonna? That just sounds, I don't know, and that shit scares me.
Yeah.
You just said it. That shit sounds scary as hell to me. So
I just think that a lot of marriages go through a lot of shit that people don't have the capacity to deal with. And to deal with it in a way where they can still have some type of, or the same type of love, consideration, and care for that person. That's not every marriage, and I'm only speaking from the outside looking in. And people become cold-hearted. I'm witnessing a divorce right now. And the craziest thing is my own homie's like, yo, I feel like the person that I'm divorcing is a 180 from the person that I married. It's not even the same person.
Probably.
Right? It's like, I don't even know who this person is. So when I look at these situations and I'm like, okay, now my life is in your hands, and God forbid we had that type of turmoil where this feelings and emotions have now been created, or opinions, I don't trust that in a rocky situation, in a rocky marriage, in a negative, ending marriage or soon to be ending marriage, I don't know if I trust my spouse to make a decision on a life or death for me, especially if there's, like I said, some type of incentive behind it. And now you have to trust somebody who no longer looks at you and cares about you the same way y'all started or the same way y'all built. And you don't know what's going to happen in people are human. See, that's why Rome gets, a lot of the love, because Rome can accept somebody being imperfect, right? And he can accept their flaws. A lot of people can accept certain flaws that might come out later on in life because they didn't sign up for that flaw. They didn't sign up for the potential of them doing them this way or treating them this way or becoming a person that they don't align with. So that's what happens when you have these long marriages, because people will become people throughout this time. And then some people don't trust that person. I trusted you from year 1. I don't trust you at year 25. I don't trust you at year 25. And it could be my fault. No, it could be like, yo, I just didn't do what I needed to do to make you the type of person, or make you be a person that really cares about me. Maybe I was an asshole. Maybe you just changed. It could be either or.
So what's the solution to that? Like, you're married, you're with this person 25 years.
Yeah.
Like what do you do?
But like, and that's
Because
yeah,
if they're your spouse, they're gonna be,
privy.
they're gonna have a certain level of authority to make decisions about you and assets and stuff like that. So my question is just, what do you do?
I mean, well, legally I can't do anything, right? So, but I mean, what I would propose is, let's say if you do have a sibling, I do think that it should be more than one person's decision, is my personal opinion. If your parents are alive, they should have a say so. If they're not alive, maybe your closest siblings, or maybe somebody that you can write down as one of your closest friends, and they have maybe a vote. I'm not saying this example, but let's just say, for example, Alan and Yumi for the next 10 years decides to hate each other's guts. Something happens to Alan. I know, and I'm not saying Yumi would ever do this, but hypothetically, Yumi's like, fuck that nigga, pull the plug, right? I'm about to run it.
He had a good life.
Yeah. I'm about to produce this shit now, nigga. But Alan has brothers and sisters that are around the same age that may have a better interest when those type of things transpire. So I do think it should be a collective of, people that you select to make a decision on your life or death specifically. That's just my opinion. You know what I mean? Obviously, that's not how this shit works.
Hey, them as siblings are not putting up with you as a spouse. Like, you behave differently with a spouse than you do with your siblings. Like, your spouse gets a totally different person.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know.
But
Y'all
then-
better put my sisters in that room.
But that's my thing. Wait, if you're not married, how are you stuck?
Yeah.
That's a
A
bar.
baby, nigga? A baby,
Ouch.
a baby would stick with you.
A baby will stick
Better
with
stop
you.
talking.
Wait.
A baby is worse than a document. I tell you that right now.
Hello?
Fuck that. Like,
Is this thing on?
is this thing on? A baby is you really stuck. Nigga, you stuck. Even if you don't want to be stuck.
But I think that
You okay?
you can have
Nah.
boundaries when
Nah.
it's parents of the child that don't want to necessarily interact with each other.
So
Who's got boundaries?
The parents that don't want to interact with each other.
Yeah, it doesn't
I
work
hate
like
those
that.
kind of
It
stories,
sounds
though.
good, but it
Well,
doesn't.
okay, let me speak.
Doesn't
My
work.
parents split up when I was young, so I'm speaking from my personal experience. I really try to stay out. I say stay out of grown folks' business. Like, I don't care to know what went on with them, X, Y, and Z. But as far as like how they conducted themselves with respect to me, it seemed, yeah, I won't even say cordial. It seemed just what it is. They weren't necessarily. I think, say, if they needed to have an argument or if they were beefing or whatever, it wasn't happening in front of me. It wasn't, if it didn't matter what I needed, my dad wasn't gonna be like, oh, I'm not buying it for her because you might go and get your nails done.
Yeah.
Like, that was no, I can guarantee you that my daddy wouldn't like, he'd be like, well, I guess you gotta get her nails done, but my kid need X. You know what I'm saying? So I think that there's a way to co-parent and not be best friends and really probably not get along, but just like here's the kid, drop them off, pick them up. Are you feeding them good? Like, I
agree.
and I know that my parents, but I know that my parents didn't have like an ideal situation. Like, I know it ain't something that's a novel. It's just, I think that there was just a certain level of, I guess, an agreement that they made to like try to just keep things copacetic, in order to make sure I wasn't affected in a particular way. Oh, well, to make sure that I wasn't like negatively impacted in a particular way.
Well, here's the thing I would say, and although I definitely I agree with Erin, the only thing is I can't speak for every situation because sometimes you don't know what one person puts another person through.
Right, yeah.
Right? And some people put somebody through hell. So to be cordial or to come to a common ground with somebody who puts you through certain, pits and fires of hell is very hard. And maybe it's something they should do, but you might have attachment to some things that this person did to you that you haven't been able to forgive yet. And, I can only think about it. You know what I'm saying? I haven't experienced it myself, but I do have friends who, like, they have kids with women who done the most grimiest shit in the world, and they still had to look at her on that Friday to pick up their son and restrain themselves, right? Because like people do,
But like, that's what being an adult is. Like, we don't, as adults, we don't get to like act on every impulse that we have. I might want to go in the office and slap a bitch tomorrow. You know what I mean? But I can't.
but if she spit on you,
Well,
Then it's on.
but that's what I'm trying to say.
Oh.
Some people,
no.
some people are getting
But that's,
spit
but that's
on though.
different. Like, that's, first of all, that means that's a battery.
Yeah.
And now I can actually retaliate like legally. But what I'm saying is that we all have, as an adult, you don't just like kids. If you don't get that nine later, you could just bust out on the floor and like start crying and going around in circles. As an adult, we don't get to do that.
No, what I'm saying is that sometimes there's situations where the reason why it ended, and this is just a figure of speech, is because somebody spat on someone. That's why.
Physically? Like
No,
No,
figure of
just-
speech. Like to
Oh, okay.
that level of
No, they did something
disrespect,
really bad. No, and
right?
I get that.
So, and it's like sometimes they didn't just get spat on once.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been multiple times, and they've been enduring it just to try to keep the peace, right? And now you push like this. The thing is, we can talk about it, but it's not realistic. I would say that is poetic because when somebody is pushing you to the fucking edge, and they have your child, when they have your child and they pushing you off, and they didn't push you off, you done fell, and you got back up, and they pushed you again. Right. And some people, I think it's hard to be cordial now. I don't think that is every situation. Yes, I do agree. There has to be a way to find a common ground. However, it's not realistic when you can't even stomach somebody's presence